Here's bass number 2, guys. Not a bad one. A little better. At least they're starting to bite with some moving baits, guys. I cannot stress that enough. Nice little chunk there, though. That's a beautiful size bass. I don't really catch them that size often. That's kind of nice. He's just a nice build. Just a beautiful build there. Beautiful fish. Get that one back. Again, that one came in on the Keitech Swing Impact Fat. Just a 2.8-inch paddle tail. Perfect bait. So good. It's got really soft plastic, so that tail really swims in the water. And I'm just working it along this bank, either parallel or out to deeper water. Just past all this cover, just slowly reeling it past. Not really burning it, I'm just straight reeling it, I'm not jigging it. It's very similar to crappie fishing. It's how I crappie fish. Just try to imagine that depth and get it down to about where you think those fish are. Sometimes I pause it just to let it fall to the depth I want, but other than that, it's just a straight reel right past that cover. Woo-wee, folks, these guys got some spunk in them. I tell you what, these warmer water temps are getting these fish active again. It is night and day difference, their fight right now. Nice little chunker again, guys. Beautiful little bass there. Just switched out batteries and we catch one right away. I'm just working that south-facing bank. And this is the warmest water, guys. I've been just keeping an eye on my electronics as well as what's going on around me. I have been noticing more activity along these south-facing banks. I actually saw a fish, a bass, push a bait fish up on that bank there, right where I caught that one. So I think we're definitely in the right areas, and I'm just gonna work these areas super well and just be mindful. There's another one. And just be very mindful of my depths that I'm fishing. That's all there is to it, guys. It's crappie fishing. Just be aware of the depths you're fishing. And like I said, with the dirty water and the cloud cover, a bit of cloud cover, these fish are pushed up pretty shallow. And it's making for some pretty fast action, honestly. The fastest action I've seen in a long time. Back-to-back casts. But this swing impact is killing it, guys. It is so fun fishing this. It's such a more aggressive approach, and it's just faster action. It's just so much more fun. So much more fun. All right, guys, I gotta tell you, when that bite shuts off, it shuts off. I've not caught a fish for, I think, 2.5, maybe 3 hours. Unreal. Been trying jigs, been trying swim baits, different colored swim baits, and that might be the last one of the day, guys. But hey, I got one more to bite, and what I bit on was a Ned rig with a little white jig head. I put it on that white jig head because I thought maybe with the water being gummed up a bit and stained, that jig head would at least help those fish key in on it. All right, good morning guys. Let's talk about the use of that Paddletail Swimbait the other morning. So first off, the reason I used that Paddletail Swimbait is because I had noticed that the water temperature had gone all the way up to 48 degrees, and that is getting into the realm where I think those fish will start chasing. Last time I had been on that body of water, the water temperature was actually averaging at 39 degrees. So in the 4 weeks since I had fished that body of water, the water temps had gone up almost 10 degrees. It's been 5 months of winter and using finesse, ground pounding, dragging, slow, painfully slow baits. And at that point, I am just ready to start using some more aggressive, some moving baits. So 48 degrees, it had me excited when I saw that, and it was time to throw a paddle tail. I took other clues from nature and just saw that fish were chasing. I had a lot of blow-ups on the surface that just seemed a bit more aggressive than just carp surfacing. So I had assumed that those were bass, and like I had said in the video, I actually saw a bass push a bait fish up onto the bank, so I knew that they were chasing. The reason why those fish were kind of pushed up so shallow and why the paddle tail really shines in that situation is because I'm working such a shallow water column. The bank I was working was only 4 feet deep. Kind of that whole area is like a 4-foot flat up into the bank. So I'm working a really shallow water column. And in addition to that shallow amount of water, that small water column, I had stained water, very stained water. Water clarity is probably only 1.5 feet, and low light conditions in the early morning hours. There's cloud cover that held on. There's usually 3 things I look for. It's wind, stain, and low light conditions. Those 3 things will all push bass shallow individually, but if you have all 3 or a combination of the 2 together, they still help to get those fish shallow. So we had a combination of low light and we had a combination of stained water, dirtier water that pushed those fish really shallow that day and had those fish up there where I could work a really thin water column with that paddle tail and just cast parallel to shore or cast and work it to deeper water, and those fish were in that shallower water most of the time. As I mentioned in the video, there was a lull. There was, once that bite just shut off, I think a good portion of those shallow fish started to push off to deeper water, and they were getting increasingly hard to catch with that paddle tail. It took me 2 hours to figure them out again. I was working shallow water. I was trying to work a little deeper water with that paddle tail. I just could not get bit with anything. Like I said, a jig. I kept fishing different colored swim baits just to see if I could get in some fish that way. But what ended up working was that Ned rig with the white jig head, and I fished that very shallow. I ended up catching 2 fish on that. If I had an opportunity to fish that Ned rig with a white head a little longer, I would have caught quite a few more fish because it was starting to pick up again once I switched that lure. So sometimes it just takes a long time to figure them out. In summary, fishing that paddle tail shallow water, temperatures are warming. As long as they stay in that 45 plus degree, I will probably keep breaking it out and trying to use it because I am so tired of fishing those slow baits. So I'm gonna try those paddle tails first because I like covering water with those paddle tails and other moving baits as opposed to those slow ground dragging baits that are still effective because it is relatively still cold water. I think anything that's 55 or 50 below is very cold, and those fish just really aren't moving to their full potential, but we're getting there, guys. So once that bite shut off, you know, just switch around, guys. You can't stick to something that's not working. You got to be versatile, and I was versatile. Probably not even versatile enough because I wasted 2 hours trying to figure it out. I feel like I could have figured them out a little faster, but I kind of get stuck sometimes using a certain bait trying to force it. So that's all I got for you guys. Fish those paddle tails in this warming water, and that stain stuff especially. They're so effective when you have shallow, dirty, wind-blown banks that are soaking up sun this time of year, and also when you got low light conditions. Anything that will help camouflage those fish. Low light, windy conditions, stained water / dirty water. That will bring those fish up shallow. Start throwing those paddle tail spinner baits. that sort of stuff, those moving baits that create some noise in the water that help those fish see it. So that's all I got for you guys. It's gonna be a crummy weekend again, just like every spring. It's just the way it is every year, I swear. I've been keeping tabs on it year after year, and every weekend is always crummy in March and April. I don't know why. It's just how weather times out. So I'll let you go. Hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe if you dig the content. I'll see you guys later. Peace, guys.